We've had many prominent groups, also messages from prominent white Afrikaans-speaking South Africans refuting the allegations of Donald Trump that South Africa and the South African government is guilty of active persecution of white Afrikaans-speaking South Africans. It's largely used as the premise for him saying he will not attend, or anyone from his administration will attend, the G20 summit in Joburg next week, and based on these false claims. But there's been a call for greater unity from South Africa, from the FW de Klerk Foundation, has been urging South Africans across all racial and political lines in what they say is to unite in refuting the false claims by U.S. President Donald Trump, as well as his Secretary of State Marco Rubio, and also other Afrikaners who say that South Africans, white Afrikaans-speaking South Africans, are being slaughtered and their land illegally confiscated. Christo van der Rheede is the Executive Director of the FW de Klerk Foundation. Good morning, Christo. Really appreciate your time. These comments have been coming from January already. That was one of the first executive orders of Donald Trump, citing issues in South Africa largely being disproven. Several South African delegations from government have been to Washington. But why have we left it so late, particularly white Afrikaans-speaking South Africans left it so late to now say, well, actually we need to refute these claims if they've been coming on since January already?
Well, the FW de Klerk Foundation has been really voicing our opposition to these claims since Donald Trump's inauguration. When he first made those claims, we wrote an open letter. We said, but this is not true, that he needs to engage with President Ramaphosa, and the two need to sit down and find solutions for the issues that we face. And we've done so on several occasions, and I think that our approach also motivated many other Afrikaners to voice their opposition to these claims. What I want to emphasize is that this is causing a real racial polarization. I've never seen the division so stark, especially in social media, in the public discourse. And we cannot allow Donald Trump to make these claims and it goes unchallenged, because it's South Africa that at the end of the day have to deal with it. And if we don't come together as a nation, like we came together in 1994, like we came together last year, to unite and put South Africa's interests first, then we're going to find ourselves in serious trouble going forward.
Christo, if our courts have made pronouncements that the thought of a white genocide in South Africa, of figments of certain groups and individuals' imagination, if our official police statistics have shown that a white community are far less likely to suffer from violent crime in South Africa. If we can show all that, what's then the balance between a group's right to expression, but also to be held to accountability, to say your utterances, your lobbies to Washington, your Washington memoranda that you're delivering at the White House is allowing South Africa to suffer significant economic but also social cohesion harm here?
If Donald Trump would have announced that he's not coming to South Africa because the South African people are suffering as a result of government incompetence, as a result of high levels of crime, our police's inability to clamp down on gangsterism, on farm murders, on murders in the townships. If they would have made an announcement that said South Africa is corrupt to the bone, we will not come unless our government gets its act together, I think all of us would have said, yes, that's the way to go. but don't punish the South African people for poor government policies, for lack of accountability, for corruption, because the majority of South African people have embraced our constitutional democracy in 1994. We went to the polls in a peaceful manner. We executed our votes to elect public officials, and we do so on a regular basis. That's an example of a people that are supporting sound constitutional principles. What has happened for the past 30 years? We've seen how key tenets of our constitution, such as human dignity, such as equality, such as rights and freedoms, have been eroded due to political parties and political people that have no interest in the greater benefit of
But
South
if we're
Africa.
honest, Christo, I really doubt Donald Trump has any interest in governance in South Africa. Look, this is a man who has 4 felony charges against him. He's corrupt as they come. Why would he care about whether a South African government is also guilty of corruption? And if we're honest, this is essentially the extension of a right-wing American culture war that also then gets to be played out with people who are sympathetic to that message here. What action to them?
You know, you're so right, because it's really a dubious call. And if you do the proper analysis, obviously that's the decision that you can come to. But who gives the right wing in South Africa, who enjoys all the freedoms and who in a much more privileged position than most of us who had to deal with apartheid and who are still dealing with the apartheid legacies, the right to go out and support and do nothing actually to discount these narrow-sighted or ill-conceived pronouncements by Donald Trump that there's a genocide in South Africa. All that they are doing is to fuel racial polarization and to fuel racial hatred, despite the successes that we've achieved thus far.
And what
Look
about
at our
those
rugby,
in
look at
South
everything.
Africa who stokes Donald Trump's ideas that then fuel racial polarization in South Africa? Because there are groups in South Africa, and I'll name Solidarity, AfriForum. They're the ones who've gone to Washington. They have been stoking, they have been goading Donald Trump and his administration. But it's the rest of South Africa who feels the repercussions. I couldn't care the foggiest of whether the ANC is affected as the leader in government. I care about the rest of South Africans, and I can draw a line in my analysis. It comes from groups in South Africa who planted and have been planting these seeds in the United States. What about them?
Well, they are finding themselves on the wrong side of history, and they will have to account for their actions, that they've actually abused the freedoms and the rights afforded by our national constitution. The beauty of our national constitution, all of us have the right to express ourselves. If I want to, make a statement in opposition of what the governing party is doing or whoever is doing, I have the right to do so. But I need to be conscious of the fact that we have a particular history where we come from. And I have to be conscious about the fact that we've got a present and a future. And for me, the future is more important, because we need to build a future where whites, brown people, black people, sorry for the racial classifications, where we live in peace and harmony, where we leverage each other's strengths to the benefit of the country. Unfortunately, we have an ANC government that again pushes for racial classification. I'm again classified as a colored, and now I have to stand third or fourth in the line before I get an opportunity. And that, for me, is wrong, is the antithesis of non-racialism.
Christo van der Rheede, Executive Director of the FW de Klerk Foundation, really appreciate your time.